In this video, I'm going to be responding to this comment by Savino Jalil, where he basically asks what you have to do to start out an Amazon FBA with a $2,000 credit card, but in a few different types of questions, which we'll get to one by one. Luckily, Savino asked these questions in a pretty good order, so the first one is, what are the other apps you were using for the first 6 months? And I'm going to take this to mean apps that you use on your phone while you're sourcing, as well as what you use on the computer to ship in your inventory and manage it once it gets in. Now, in retail arbitrage, there are really 3 stages. The first is sourcing, then shipping, and then management and repricing. In the sourcing stage, especially at the beginning, the only app that you really need is the Amazon Seller app. When you're out sourcing, you can click this Add a Product button or the camera up here, and you can start searching for different products, and you can do everything from this app. But especially if you're wanting to get started fast, there are some free trials that I'm going to talk about specifically for Scoutify 2 and Scout IQ. I'm leaning away from Scout IQ right now because I'm going to start doing Keepa as I do more online arbitrage, but since this is about retail arbitrage, these are the things that I use getting started, and we're talking about the first 6 months. I started out just with the Seller app for my very first time out sourcing and quickly realized that I wanted something that was a little bit faster and I could scan through more items. And since I thought I would be doing a lot of books, I downloaded Scout IQ, which is mainly used for books, but it also has a Keepa chart that I've talked about in other videos that you can't get in the other app, which I also got about 2 weeks later, called Scoutify 2, which is connected to Inventory Lab, which we'll talk about in these other 2 methods. But this is the main app that I use for sourcing, and since I'm about to get the regular Keepa subscription, this is going to be the only sourcing app that I have besides the Amazon Seller app, unless I find something else that's pretty good. And the pricing for each of these is free for the Seller app, $49 per month for Scoutify 2, which also includes Inventory Lab, and then Scout IQ is $14 per month, whereas Keepa is about $24, which is why I had this for the longest time. When it comes to shipping in my inventory, I didn't even use Amazon Seller Central a single time. I just started with Inventory Lab. Reason being, there was a 30-day free trial, and there still is. I have a link down in the description if you want to check it out and support the channel if you decide to pay for it after that. But Inventory Lab makes your shipment process so much easier, and I have a lot of videos about shipments as well, specifically using Inventory Lab if you're interested in that. You could just use the Amazon Seller Central portal for this, but if you're really wanting to expedite the process and make your life a lot easier and get something that can help you to source, ship, and manage your inventory, I would look into getting Inventory Lab at least the free trial for 30 days to see if it's worth it for you. And I have a video right over here that you can check out that has everything you need to know about Inventory Lab. Management and repricing is the next phase, which is after your inventory has already gotten to Amazon and you need to make sure that you can still win the buy box and that your inventory is cycling pretty quickly. I started out just with Seller Central, which I thought would have been good, but having to change my prices myself all the time became very tedious, and quickly after I had 50 to 100 items, I realized I didn't want to constantly be changing my prices, so I got a repricer called Reprice It. The problem is, Reprice It doesn't have as many features as a lot of the nicer repricers. It is a little bit cheaper. It was only about $25, and then later $16 when I realized I didn't actually need as big of a subscription every single month to get my inventory repriced, but I missed out on a lot of profit because it would race to the bottom. I couldn't set minimum and maximum prices on every single item. You had to set it based on the rule, and so later I scrapped it, and I recommend people do this too, and I got Be Cool, which is a repricing system that I use now. I have the $100 per month version of it, which makes my life so easy, and I have other videos that talk about that and some more coming out here soon, but there are plans going down to as low as $25 per month. I would check it out and get the free trial if you're interested, or you just need some free repricing. But I wouldn't do this until you have items that you can't reprice yourself, especially because if you're going to make use of even just getting that free trial, you want to get your full money's worth out of it. Inventory Lab also helps with the management of inventory because you're able to look at what you have in stock, what you might need to replenish, and a lot of other things that I've talked about in other videos about Inventory Lab specifically. But if you want to do online arbitrage as well as retail arbitrage, I would recommend getting Keepa instead of Scout IQ. Pay that extra $10 a month because I'm actually going to be getting Keepa soon and getting rid of my Scout IQ subscription. So even though Seller Central, their app and their desktop version give you enough information to get started on Amazon, if you really want to make your life a little bit easier and do things a lot faster, getting Inventory Lab, Scoutify 2, or Keepa, as well as Be Cool or any other repricer would be a really good way to do that fast. And you can grab free trials for all of those so you don't have to spend anything out of pocket for that first month. And after that, you can expect to pay anywhere from $75 to $150 per month, depending on the repricing plan that you decide to get. And I'll have all my other videos about those programs linked if you want to look into them further before making any decisions, which is totally understandable. The next question is all about categories. I do have a separate video about what I think the best categories to get started are, but this question is a little bit different than that. Yes, do you know if everyone just starting out are only allowed to sell in the same certain categories, and can you tell us what they are? I know that getting started, there are so many categories that you won't be able to sell. Specifically, the bigger brands, which aren't necessarily category restrictions, but just like Nike, Adidas, they don't want you to sell your products because Amazon doesn't trust you as a seller yet, and they don't know if you're sending in good stuff or counterfeit stuff and just trying to make a quick buck off of some scams. So if you're like me, you can't just wait and sell as much as you possibly can and get get ungated in those bigger brands or different categories later down the road, but that still means that you have to find inventory to get started. And so my 3 suggestions for specific categories to get started are office supplies. I've heard this is a relatively easy one to get ungated in. Also, I got a new whiteboard notebook. I'll show you one in a second. The second one is sports and outdoors, but there is a little caveat that some items in sports and outdoors you're not going to be able to sell because of brand specifically. Like Under Armour stuff I had to wait a while to get ungated in. Nike and Adidas I still can't sell yet. Videos coming out about that pretty soon, hopefully. And there are some like apparel categories that also double as sports and outdoor that you might not be able to sell initially. And then books and journals are one last thing that you can sell. I personally hate selling books, so I didn't do that, but Moleskine journals and other things like that are pretty good, and I wasn't gated in them in the beginning. But the key is to just scan as much as possible. AMAP, like ASAP, I put AMAP. I'm trying to make that a thing. But literally, the more you scan, the better you'll be as a reseller. I've even recently learned this. I just today sent in my biggest shipment ever, and I have a video coming out about that in the next couple of days that I'm super excited for. But I found so much stuff just because I took my time to scan through things that I had passed over before, and I'm sure I missed out on thousands in profit that I was able to pick up this time sourcing because I just scanned as much as I possibly could. And when you're in the beginning and you see that you are restricted, go onto the Amazon seller app on your phone. I know that I can't sell it, so I'm just gonna look up a Nike product real quick. And when you go here, it's going to say requires approval. If you click on that, and you're going to be able to request approval right from the app. Requested for, it says I've already requested it because I've requested for Nike before and got declined because I did this. But every time that you're not able to sell something, hit this request approval button. Sometimes they'll send you off the app if you're requesting in more than one category. Like this says it's for sporting goods. And then this $ Nike, that's weird. I'm going to find another product. Request for approval, and it's going to decline me. And it's going to say that you're going to need to send in some invoices. So selling application for a brand. If this comes up and there's a blue thing and it says congratulations, you're approved, and that means that Amazon has deemed that you're able to sell that product for whatever reason, and that will happen pretty often when you're scanning in the beginning. Not as often as you would like, but the more stuff you scan, the more opportunities you'll have to press that button, and those applications stay on file, so when you do reach a threshold of selling, it'll automatically get approved, and that's what happened to me before selling Skull Candy stuff, which I literally just picked up more of today. But then the last part, and also, wasn't that pretty cool? Focus on getting ungated. I didn't do this, and I'm kind of regretting it now. Could have made a lot more money if I would have focused on getting ungated by getting invoices from Frontier Co-op for things like grocery, topicals, or EE distribution, I think for toys. You can find a bunch of different categories and brands to get ungated in through these 2 different companies that I don't even think you need an LLC for. But to answer the question, it's not actually all the same for everybody. Everybody's account is different on Amazon, and what you get approved in to sell in a certain time frame will be different than anybody else on the platform. The third main question, but there is a fourth point that I think is super important, is how many stores do you usually arbitrage from? And I did make a video about my top 7 stores. I made an award show out of it, so you should definitely watch that video. It's pretty fun. But when I started out, I went to a ton of stores. You can watch some of these videos from before I moved into the van, and you'll basically see that I went to like 15 to 25 stores any given day that I was reselling because I would make a full day out of it. Recently, I've started going to less and less stores because I've gotten ungated in more, and I've gotten much better at actually scanning through everything and taking my time. So in the shipment that I just shipped out, I only went to 4 total stores, but I sent in literally a full month worth of profit, even more than that, from just these 4 stores. But the main stores that I like to go to are Academy Sports and Outdoors for sports and outdoor stuff, and they are having clearance sales right now, so definitely go check them out if you haven't yet. Walmart's always a staple, but I kind of don't like them as much as some of the other ones because it seems a little bit more picked over for me, but I think I just need to take some more time in it and actually search through everything like I have been in these other stores recently. And then Ross, TJ Maxx, and Marshalls are always pretty good for me because you can find a lot of clearance stuff, but the more brands that you can get ungated in, the better those stores will be for you. There's one last really major point that we need to talk about getting started with only a $2,000 credit card. The first is make sure that you're not ever paying interest on that credit card. I have a video about how I started my business on credit cards, and it is credit cards because I had to use multiple. Unless you have a 0% interest credit card, stick to a good budget. More importantly though, you're going to need to stick to really solid rules for buying your inventory because since you have limited capital, you're going to need to look for higher return on investment items. The less money that you have available to spend, the higher the return on investment you need to get because that'll help you to build your money a lot faster because it takes Amazon a while to get that money back to you. And I have a whole video about the rules that I use for retail arbitrage right over there that you should definitely go watch because it breaks down the sales ranks that I look for as well as the return on investments based on how much money I have available to me at any given time. So it's definitely possible to build an Amazon business. It just might take you a little bit of time if you only have $2,000, but it's definitely not going to be easy, so put in the work. See you in the next one.